Valdosta.
Well, yeah, I am. Welcome to The Usual Suspects, or The Usual Suspects. Great to have you with us on this Sunday morning. Gary Yordan, Steve Van Cor, Sean Pittman.
Good morning.
And we were trying to figure out the last time all three of us were
It's
together.
good to be back together.
Yeah, you said 4 years. I can't.
No.
I said 4
He
years.
said 4 years.
I think that's about right.
Well, we know
when-
this started, the separation started
COVID.
with COVID.
Right.
Because we couldn't
So
be in the
that's at
studio
least
together.
20.
Right? So that's at least
20, yeah.
two-
Okay, you're right.
So,
yeah.
So almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Steve Van Cor.
Hey, how you doing? It's a pleasure.
Good to meet you.
So nice to meet you, man. I heard a lot about you.
I've heard a lot about you too. I understand you went to Israel.
I did. I spent 8 days in Israel last week, and
What was it?
amazing.
Tell folks what it
well,
was for.
amazing trip. So there's an organization called the National Black Empowerment Council that takes about 20 black leaders from across the country.
This is
to
like
Israel
Leadership Florida
as
on
sort of-
steroids.
Maybe.
I mean, seriously,
yeah.
20 at a nationally.
But they take these leaders to go and learn about the culture, the people, the land, the issues, and I guess the premise of it all is there's some commonality between what black people went through and what Jewish people went through. You could probably talk about that very quickly. It doesn't take 8 days to make
Yeah,
that
yeah.
similarity, but the idea of learning about the issues of the day, and what a time to go there when there's even more conflict now with their
Internal
judicial
conflict,
yeah.
with their judicial system, and we couldn't leave a meeting without talking a lot about that. But certainly the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians, the border lines.
Missiles
fights.
were
Yeah.
flying when you were there.
Well, I didn't see any.
Right, but I mean-
However, we did go to the Gaza Strip. We did, go to the border of Lebanon. We did go to
Yeah,
outside Syria.
Hold it
We-
right there.
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about this. I think this is a very cool thing, and we got a break. So when we come back, we'll pick this up, and then the show. I mean, we're going to just be steamrolling through issues. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paul Shapiro, keeping the personal in personal injury law.
The sun is setting on Toyota's national sales event. Wait, they have until September 5th.
Right now, get 2.9% APR for 36 months on a new 2023 Toyota Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
This is about Carrie. It says, "There's not enough space, nor could I find enough words to articulate my experience with Facet Brooks. Working closely with Carrie and Brittany has literally changed my life. Not only did they handle my case as if they were standing up for their own immediate family, we became like family. I've never felt alone in the process. I never felt like just another case, and the encouragement on the harder days would always lift me up. Absolutely everyone in the firm exudes a compassion for the cases they handle and a real passion to empower the lives of individuals and families far beyond a settlement. They are strong, resilient, will leave no rock unturned. I absolutely love Facet Brooks."
I love that. I mean, I just have no words to explain how grateful I am that somebody feels like that about us.
Faster is possible. New Renergy HPN 300 peptide cream with hyaluronic acid and niacinamide. Now skin renews faster as if it's younger. Visibly reduce lower face sagging, wrinkles, dark spots. New Renergy HPN 300 peptide cream. Lancome.
The last of summer will draw you in at Toyota's national sales event. It's like a magnet, but for people.
Right now, lease a new 2023 Toyota RAV4 LE for just $319 a month for 36 months. Toyota, let's go places.
The three of us are back. Haven't said that in a long time.
Feels good.
One of the reasons that the Israeli visit is so fascinating to me is here's this social angst there. I mean, like every day, you wake up with it, you go to bed with it.
Yeah.
Which is not unlike what's happening in this country.
Well, let me tell you what is unlike what's happening in this country. I mean, when you go to these cities near the borders, I mean, the government requires you to have a bomb shelter in your home. When you walk by a school and you see bomb shelters on either side of it, and knowing that the kids understand if the bell goes off, they got about 30 seconds to get to a shelter. What we don't live with is the fact that your enemies are your neighbors and they want to annihilate you. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm no expert. You can't go there for a few days and become an expert. But what I will tell you is it does change your perspective some, a lot maybe, from what you hear in this country from the media about what's going on over there. And when you get there and you end up talking to a Jewish person, you end up talking to a Palestinian, you end up, talking to someone from Ethiopia, and you learn about the history of that, what was called that rescue, right? And I mean, you just gain a perspective. Now, we end up talking to a couple of prime ministers, right? So there's the politics of it all, of them all sort of, telling you, try to get you buy-in on where they are. But what's interesting is there was a congressional delegation there too. Hakeem Jeffries had about, I think, 25 or so. Jared Moskowitz was there as well from South Florida. And our buses kept running into each other. We were pretty much on the same schedule. But outstanding, and I think for me, and I'm not getting into the politics of it, right? Of whether it should be 2 states or, what borders, whether.
Yeah, we only have a half hour.
Right. Yeah. We don't have 6 weeks.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, being able to float in the Dead Sea was unbelievable. I never believed it, but it is very true. You lift your legs and it just throws you up.
Yeah, because of the salinity.
Just insane. But for me, being able to be in places and walk in places that likely Jesus walked, spoke, the place where he was supposedly did the 8 Beatitudes, I mean, was unbelievable. I thought the wall, the praying wall, I don't know what it's called, the Holy Wall was
Holy Wall.
incredible. Seeing the place where Peter found the rock that he built his church from, and seeing the remnants of the actual stones. And I mean, just all of it was fascinating. Where the likely place that Jesus was crucified, where the tomb is or was, right? I mean, all that for me was just like, wow, this is stuff I read in the Bible.
I know, isn't that cool?
Jericho.
Yeah.
You had an interesting.
You can actually go to the Garden of Gethsemane.
And
You're
Mount,
like,
and Mount Nebo, where Moses was buried. I mean, it's just to really see and touch that when you grow up reading it, just being in Jerusalem.
Even if you're not religious, the historicity of it is pretty fantastic, right?
It is.
It's like when you go to St. Peter's, you can't walk into St. Peter's and not get emotional. Even if you're the most grounded atheist, you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Then you turn and there's the Pieta there. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous and so emotional. And the 1,000 years of history, multi-thousand years of history, is hard to beat.
Okay, well, let's bring it home. But thank you for sharing all that. Very cool.
Well, you were there at an interesting time, because I think also, so you got the external problem, right, with the Palestinians and the border control and all that stuff and the history there. But now Israel is, I think, self-imploding as a democracy. And that scares me because of the way it's happening. You have an alliance, an allegiance of very far right, very religious folks saying to Netanyahu, you stay in power only if you wipe out the court. And so what does he decide? Well, do I stay and preserve a democracy, or do I stay in power? Sound familiar?
Yeah.
I'd rather not have a democracy so I get to stay in power. That scares me because that's one of our closest allies. It's been one of the top-rated democracies in the world. And I bet you when the rankings come out next year, they will no longer be a fully functioning democracy.
Well,
and that bothers me greatly.
And I will tell you, and again, not being an expert of it, I was purely educational for me. But there was at least one speaker, one very important speaker that said, I'm just sitting back knowing that this is all about to implode. And for the United States, it's a difficult issue, right? Because you realize that some of these enemy lines are being controlled by another country that that United States can't have more control, right? So Israel, if Israel isn't Israel, right? You got these neighboring countries that give United States some issues.
Absolutely.
Politics.
No. That's the externality
That's the
stuff,
externality
right?
of it.
And then the internality of it is, I believe a democracy is the strongest way to get world support, to get world agreement, and to be a stronger country. And they just decided for the short-term interim personal power to wipe out their judiciary, the functionality of the judiciary.
Last thing I'll say about it, because I know you want to move on, is there is quite a bit of irony there. First of all, I understand what the land is so amazingly valuable with it being so connected to history and biblical history and all. I would want the land, right? But here's the thing: it's so ironic that the pain and the violence and everything that's going on that's so close to the Holy Land. There's just an irony there that I could never really get connected in my mind.
When we come back, I want to talk about New Hampshire a little bit. And
a little closer to home.
Yeah, where the polls
small
came
embattled
out,
country.
And the governor of this state has dropped down to third in that poll.
It's his third in a row.
And that's 3 in a row. Yeah, we will do that right after this.
Time and Temperature, sponsored by Werner Hyundai. Get 5 years free maintenance.
At Envision Credit Union, we know that you've seen a lot of change in your life. From turning that new house into a home, to starting your new family, or just starting over. You've prioritized your dreams, and you've made plans for your future. That's why we want to be with you every step of the way. Because at Envision Credit Union, we see you.
My brother Tim was paralyzed at Disney World. We got to see what happens when you're poor and you got a big injury, and we ended up hiring the wrong lawyer. When I see these clients I see my of representation. I want them to have their best chance of winning and the best chance to put their life back together the best way they can.
If you have moderate to severe Crohn's disease, Skyrizi is the first and only IL-23 inhibitor that can deliver clinical remission and endoscopic improvement.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Control of Crohn's means everything to me. Ask your gastroenterologist about Skyrizi. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, I said New Hampshire, but really I mean, things are going to move after the next debate. They just will. The debate coming up, And I think
Does Trump show up?
Yeah, I don't think he does. I don't know why he would.
If you're advising him?
I would advise him to show up.
I would tell him not to show up.
If I were advising, I would advise him to show up.
I would say
because there's so many people on the stage, there's no harm. There's no harm for him showing up. And I think his supporters, with all the indictments, need to see that he is really in this. That he is still their guy. He's still fighting for what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has to. I think you show up. I think it doesn't matter what happens there, as long as you don't do something really stupid. Yeah. It's not going to get any worse.
I disagree. A slip up. Debates are marked by slip ups where people fail. You know, what was it? Governor Perry. I'm going to abolish 3 agencies. Well, clearly, Governor, you've given us a lot of thought. What 3 agencies would you abolish? I don't know. You know, whatever. I just thought it was a good talking point.
But it was a different time. It was a different time. I think Trump would say, you know, if Trump said, I'm going to get rid of 3 agencies, he's like, you know, 3 agencies that we have on a list that during my time when I was president showed us, we have the data to show that it's bad and not good.
That'd be enough.
And I think
pull a Ross Perot.
By the way,
they just blept up the hood and fix it.
And by the way, if you got 10 or 12 people on the stage, that's going to have to end the day because they got to move on to other people. Now, if there were 3 or 4 people on the stage, I would advise him not to show. But I think he gets more for his base to show up and do what he did the first time.
So do you think he does show
16. up? I don't know. You just asked me what I would advise.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he shows up.
I don't think he shows up either.
Yeah, I don't think he shows up. Because if he does, then
Chris Christie will kick his ass.
As Screven Watson said recently, because it would become a Christie-Trump show, that everybody else will be at the kids' table for Thanksgiving. I mean, that will be
That's
the
a total Screvenism, too. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Screvenism, that's a new word. I just made it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
right.
I mean, I don't know. It'll be, there's part of me that doesn't want him to show up, not because I'm out of popcorn. I got plenty of popcorn. But I'd love to see how Ron DeSantis does in that group without him. Just my own curiosity.
You know, no matter what, the debate's going to be about him. If he's there, you're right. If he's not there, they're all going to be talking about Trump because that's what the questions are going to center on, and who's going to be positioning to be the best person to beat him. And I think Chris Christie is starting to come forth as that person. And you know, the sad thing is now we see the 3rd poll in a row, state level polls, not national. Ron DeSantis is still in solid 2nd nationally, but Iowa, New Hampshire, I think it was South Carolina, he's dropped to 3rd against a different person in each space.
Right.
And here's what's bad: when the conversation is about how bad your campaign is, right? Not about how bad you are, although they stuff about him being awkward. How bad you can. Now the conversation is, has he burned his bridges for 2028? There was 2 articles in the major newspapers this week. Dude, that's a bad sign that you may have already burned it for 2028. We've already got 2024 in our rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. That's not a good sign.
Well, I don't think there's any question that, and it was a calculated gamble. You run so far to the right that there's not a map that shows you how to get back to the middle. I mean, and that's about electability.
What do you think his supporters, if they were polled, whether he should go or not, what would they say?
What do you mean, should he go?
Should Trump show up? Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
To the debate. What would that 30% that never leaves him?
That's
what would
an interesting question.
What would they want?
I think they would lean on the fact that he showed up, and that's the beginning, middle, and end of the story for them. He's not afraid. He's still there. He's still our guy. Doesn't matter. I think what you said earlier, there's almost no words that can come out of his mouth that would hurt him at this stage, right?
Right.
And so I think it's just a matter of.
And anything they're going to say,
Sean, and I think that
without him there, they're going to say with him.
Absolutely, and also is. If he doesn't show up, that same 30% is going, see, I told you, he doesn't need to show up. He's already in the lead. He doesn't need to do this. If he shows up, they'll be like, see, I told you he should show up. And no matter what he does, they love him.
But is there anything he needs to do if he doesn't show up? Does he need to do a presser the next day?
Well, he's
going to be sitting on Truth Social just whacking them for the poor ratings.
He's actually negotiating a network show alongside it. in the same time slot.
Oh my gosh, that would be so Trump.
But right,
ABC, an interview with Donald Trump on ABC,
exactly,
and nobody's going to be watching the debate.
To me, if he showed up, it would be fascinating to see who sort of, puckered up for his behind. I mean, it's like all the people who are like, yeah, this is just, weaponization of the Justice Department. Would they still be doing that with him on stage? I mean, would there be just a visual suck-up?
It's really hard for them because if everybody's running around going, the weaponization of the Justice Department and Georgia and New York and this jury and that jury, but did I just express my opinion that way? But if he's right?
Yeah, out loud.
So now they get to stand there and support him at the debate. So to your point, so what does Ron DeSantis say? They ask him a question about the indictments.
Right.
He has to turn and support Donald Trump. You know what? Now you think about it, that's probably the best strategic move for Trump. To stand there and say nothing, because they're all going to have to support him, which is cuckoo, right?
Yeah, right.
Except Chris Christie won't.
No,
he
no,
won't.
He won't.
And that's why it'll just turn into that.
But the Chris Christie thing, people just really want the show. Nothing he says is sticking on anybody. Right?
Well, it's funny. The Democrats,
even as entertaining as it is,
Democrats are all like, I'd vote for Chris Christie, while Republicans are saying, I'd vote for Kennedy.
One of these shows, I want to have a discussion about what this third party might look like, because they're getting a little more serious with $100 million in the bank too, or close to $100 million in the bank. I guess for me, the Christie in New Hampshire, his polling is largely because in New Hampshire, correct me if I'm wrong,
independents get polled.
That's right.
Because you can have a pick a ballot thing on the day of the election.
Which is
you can walk
different than everybody else.
Than most others.
Yeah, than most.
Yeah, they have a pick a ballot. It's called pick a ballot. You get to, on election day, you get to choose whether you're going to be a Republican or a Democrat. So on the presidential preference primary, if you're a Biden supporter, and you're like, I want to see Biden face Trump, you could not go in and vote for Biden because nobody's really competitive against him, and you can go in and vote for Trump if you think Trump would be the best person against him. Although New Hampshire folks don't really think like that. From my understanding and my polling I've looked at, they tend to be more pragmatic, like, okay, who's the best two that I would like to see run our country, a little bit less playing politics.
But I don't want to underestimate the importance of these primaries. I mean, all you have to do is say Biden, South Carolina. I mean, the primaries are what turned his campaign.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, however we think this is already decided, the primaries actually do make a pretty significant difference.
There's no doubt about it. You have a history of who came out Iowa #1 and never made it to president, pretty much everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So putting all your eggs in the Iowa basket has proven to be a bad idea, but you got to be in the top 3. Conversely, nobody out of the top 3 has been elected president.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that's.
Yeah.
Is that,
I didn't
that's
realize
an actual
that.
number?
I just made it up.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's probably pretty close to true.
Probably. Let's just go with it.
We'll be right back. Final few minutes.
Closed captioning is brought to you as a public service of WCTV and Florida Blue.
I was on the way to work and I got rear-ended. The first person that I called was Morgan & Morgan. With Morgan & Morgan, the process in general, very easy. All I had to do was e-sign, so everything was sent via email. I never had to come into the branch to sign off on any paper. I could be in a different state, and for me to just do this, click this e-sign, I'm like, okay, it's easier than you think. My attorney made sure all the steps were laid out in front of my face for me to actually read. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him a 12. That's not even on the scale, so working with Morgan & Morgan is so easy.
I'm Emmitt Smith. We go hard, and sometimes it takes a toll on our joints. Joint pain, it can be unbearable, but not anymore.
Thanks to QC Kinetics. No downtime, surgery, or harmful drugs. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments help your body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue right at the source of your joint pain.
We go hard, and there's no stopping us now.
Today, push harder, push forward, push vigorously.
There are things that I am hiding from people that I'm trying to inspire.
You can do whatever you set your mind to.
I feel like a hypocrite a lot of the times.
Don't give up on yourself
ever. Smoking, I hide it because I'm ashamed of it. I want to get out of the shadow. I want to show people there is light away from the darkness. I am going to quit.
Visit tobaccofreeflorida.com to find free resources to help you quit your way.
When you help yourself to Firehouse Subs Pepperoni Pizza Meatball Sub, you're helping in other ways too. Because at Firehouse Subs, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders in communities like yours. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs. Save more lives.
When migraine strikes, are the trade-offs of treating worth it? Ubrelvy is another option. It quickly stops migraine in its tracks. Do not take with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Allergic reactions to Ubrelvy can happen. Most common side effects were nausea and sleepiness. Ask about Ubrelvy.
Just a final couple of minutes, which is more than enough time to talk about the Democratic Party in Florida.
Well, wow. What's left of it? No, you got to give Nikki Fried credit, the new chair. Yes. You got to give her credit. She's now wanting to get them focused on the right thing, which is early voter registration. And so they said
actually doing it.
And actually doing it. Dedicating $1 million.
Talked about.
I want this to happen. My sarcasm is not about
But there was two parts of it. I mean, one, yay, Nikki, way to go, smart. Yes, registered voters, my gosh, because Republicans have been spending $2 million a month approximately for the last 4 years, okay? Yeah. Hard to catch up, but you're starting in the right direction. And then she says part B, which made me nuts, which is, and then Democratic turnout's going to be really high because we have potentially two items on the ballot. The smart and safe adult use marijuana and the abortion initiative. First of all, they both have to get through the courts. Secondly, in a presidential election, turnout's already at the maximum. It's already very high. Amendments don't turn out people, okay? I've looked at this, and there's some indication it may in an off-year election, but here's what bothers me about it. Stop making your plan to be a wish that somebody else is going to do something magical and it's going to somehow save the Democratic Party.
And prepare for whoever is coming to the polls. Right. Prepare by having great candidates and really do the registration piece.
Yes.
And really really do it and follow it. Right? Don't just do the registration piece, but do the registration piece and track it all.
Absolutely. Right? And raise real, consistent money. It's hard. It's hard money to raise because it's operational. It's not blowing up somebody, whatever. But you're right. Absolutely. It's operational. It's hard to do.
Okay. Still rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. I'm sorry. And you got to do it, but you got to take the long view because this can take 10 years.
Well, you definitely have to. You definitely have to have a long plan, but you got to have a short plan too.
Florida's gone for a while. If those are your beliefs, Florida's gone for a while. If that's where your politics are, anyway.
Yeah, we're a red state.
Thank you guys. Great. We can need to check our schedules, see, maybe we
when
can
Sean's back from another foreign country trip.
Right. We can do this again in 26.
Hey, I could spend time in Tel Aviv anytime, man. Yeah. So. Give me some money.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Yeah. Okay. This was fun. Great to see you guys. And you might not believe this, but we actually don't see each other very much.
No.
Okay. We'll see you guys next week. You're next week, right?
Sure.
Oh, are you? I didn't. We're not in September yet. Never mind. One of us will be here. See you later.
Excellent service, 100 times more responsive than other attorneys I've worked with. Highly recommend, especially attorney Kimmy Hogan. She is fabulous.
Yes, she is.
It's all about communication. The #1 complaint about lawyers is my lawyer never calls me back. But the #2 complaint is my lawyer never calls me and tells me what's happening with my case. That's why I love reading a review like this, because I know, Kimmy, you are really good about calling your clients, letting them know what's happening with the case, keeping them informed every step of the way. Because what you got to remember is that these clients, this is their first case a lot of times. They've never been through this before. They don't know what to expect. Am I doing the right thing? Am I getting the right medical treatment? Am I actually going to get a settlement at the end of the case? So they need that reassurance, and they need to know what the process is every step along the way.
We're bringing big back. It's bigger, cheesier. The Pick New Yorker from Pizza Hut. Big pizza, bigger deal. Y'all hungry? Better be hungry.
Now at Macy's, take an extra 20% off back-to-school essentials, like juniors' tees, new backpacks, and kids' jeans. Own your style at Macy's.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan.
Time and Temperature, sponsored by Werner Kia. Get up to $4,000 over KBB.
Arena. Fresh off their first win of the season, the Stampede need to